Hey, how's it going, everyone? So, I decided to make a video on PC. What is PC? It's not politically correct. It stands for predominant cultivar. And it is this cactus right here. Also known as San Pedro. And it is a form of Trichocereus Pachanoi. Some people like to say Trichocereus Pachanoi, but you don't say Trichocereus, so you say Trichocereus, so which is why I am pronouncing it Pachanoi, because it's spelled, look at the spelling and you'll see it has a CH. Anyways, so why is this called predominant cultivar? It is because this is one of the most, well, it is the most common Trichocereus in the United States. And that's why they call it the predominant cultivar of Trichocereus, but also of Trichocereus Pachanoi. There's other Trichocereus Pachanois that look like it, but there's differences. Let me see if I have any here. Like this looks like, these are some Trichocereus. This is a Trichocereus Pachanoi, but it's different, even though you can't really tell. But there's different types of Trichocereus. Like look at this hybrid. This is a shark Trichocereus bridgesii hybrid. This is a scop hybrid. So there's all kinds of Trichocereus. This is a monstrous form of Trichocereus Pachanoi. Anyways, one thing Trichocereus Pachanoi, the PC cactus, is used for is, let's just call it PC, not PC cactus. One of the biggest things it is used for, aside from growing it, because I think it's a very beautiful plant, is grafting. So what is grafting? Grafting is when you let's say you were going to graft onto this cactus right here, even though that's not a PC. You would chop it like this, cut it with a knife, and you would put a piece of another cactus on top, and then you put pressure down, maybe put a little bag over it to retain some humidity, and you'll know after a week and a half, if it sticks, then it's going to start to grow, and it's going to use the roots of that cactus to grow. Here's an example. So this is a PC right here. It had 3 arms, and I grafted a little baby seedling onto this one, and then I cut it in half. Actually, the bottom I cut in another half, and I put a piece here and a piece here. So all these 3 arms got a little piece of a seedling, and look at the growth. It's fatter than the rootstock. This is called rootstock because that's where the roots are attached to. And this, when you graft onto it, this is called the scion. So look at the scion. Look at how big and mature these seedlings look. That's what happens when you graft to a PC, to a mature PC. You're going to get mature growth on your and mature spines. And believe it or not, the seedlings that I grafted onto here are the same age as this guy right here. But as you can see, let me show you. As you can see, it's a huge difference on the growth, which is why people like to graft onto cacti, onto a PC, because it is such a fast grower. Sorry, I dropped the cactus here. It's a little Martinezii. The cat's tail knocked it down. Anyways, so that's why people like to graft to PC. Here's another example. Excuse me, kitty. Look at this one. I grafted this Trichocereus filmocracken. It's a weird cactus that grows really slow. It's a monstrous weird form. And I grafted it to PC. It's not a huge cutting of PC. But sometimes when you're grafting, the problem or the objective is that you want all the energy from this cactus and the roots. You want all the energy from these mature roots to go into whatever you graft on top. Okay? And sometimes some of the energy will go elsewhere and you'll get a pup like this. And what I started doing last year, hold on, there's a bunch of weeds here. Anyways, what I started doing last year, well, let me tell you before, what I would do when I would see a pup like this, I would immediately remove it so that the energy of these roots will not pump this up, and it'll go and stick to growing the scion, whatever's on top, whatever you graft onto it. But what I started doing last year is I started letting these grow a little bit, and then I would twist them off, and I would root those so I could use them to graft onto them too. But you know what? This is such a small rootstock. This is so small, I'm just gonna go ahead and remove it. And they remove really easily. Just gotta twist it. Twist right off. And I'm just gonna toss this. Toss this over there. So here's one, let me show you one that I twisted off. Yeah, it was a few months ago I twisted this one off. And what I tend to do when I twisting little pups off, I'll lay them on their side so they heal for a week, and then when I see it again, I'll put it with the bottom part down so that they root. Let's see if this has roots. It has one root, or no, it has like 2-3 roots, but one main root. Look at that. So something like this I will put in a really tiny pot, let it grow, and then I'll graft a little tiny seedling on top of this so that it grows faster. But this is not a good example because this is such a small piece. So let me look around for more PC. Let's take a look. Here's another grafted PC. Look how big this is. And I grafted a little seedling onto here, and look at how big it is now. And you see that has a pup. So I'm going to let that grow till it gets, 5-6 inches. And then I'm going to cut it. This is a glorp. It's a certain kind of a Myrtille cactus, a monstrous form. It grows weird. And I grafted this onto PC. Or it is grafted onto PC, so let's see if this isn't that big. This should be grafted to a much bigger piece, but it should still push pretty good. Here's a one that I tried grafting last year and it did not take. So I tried grafting a little piece of this other cactus. It's under pretty firm, but let me remove it. There it is. So it seemed like it stuck, but it didn't fuse. Once they fuse correctly, if they fuse, oh man, you're gonna get amazing growth. Especially from one that's this fat. But I usually like them a lot bigger. But since it didn't grow, it kept the energy here, and it shot out a pup. So now all the energy is going to go to the tip to have this pup here grow. So I'm going to let this pup get a little bigger, and then I'm going to use this. I'm going to graft right on this pup. Let's put this down. I have PC all over the house. So I'm not going to show you all the pieces of PC. Here's one. It's really yellow and stressed. I have one up here which looks really stressed and yellow. The soil just sucks here. But that's a little stand I have. And I have many that are like that they're around. They're around everywhere here. But what I'm going to do is I've been taking off the pups, like when they get pups like this one. And like I said, I'll leave it facing, I'll leave it on the side for a week or two. And sometimes I forget about it, but I'll eventually see it on its side, and I'll pick it up and just put it down, and they'll root, or I'm hoping they'll root. So let me show you an example of that right now. So let me see. I don't see any here. Oh, this is a good example right here. So I grafted this Trichocereus hybrid to this PC stand, to this one arm or stem, branch, whatever. So I grafted it to the tip of this, and it's fused really, really good. And this has gotten fatter than the bottom. This has gotten much fatter than the bottom. So I need to cut this, just cut it here, and then these areas will pup. So I'll get more, and then I could root this guy. But I had some pups that came out through here. And what did I do? I twisted them off, and I put them down on the container. And it looks like they started growing already. So these have roots. This one, I don't know. No roots yet. But I'm going to put this in its own pot. And when I graft to it, I'll cut a little piece like this. And it's good enough to graft something small onto this. Something that won't grow too big. And this should be, let's see how much. I know this has roots. Oh wow. Oh wow. Okay, this definitely has some good roots. Let me see. I need to get it out of here anyways. Oh wow, I did not know it had this many roots. Look at this. I put this here last year, just sitting on this container, and look at all these roots. This one, you could see how it's grew a little bit. It didn't grow that good though. But regardless, I will root this. No, it's already rooted. I will put this in the container. I will cut it here, and I will graft something onto this. I'm just going to put this in its own container. It already has some nice roots. And let it get a little more roots. Let it plump it up a little more. And this definitely has roots too. Maybe not as much. Oh wow. It's crazy how stuck this is. Oh, I think I broke some of the roots off. Well, it has some roots still. So I'll take these with me. Let me bring these along over here. And this right here is Cusco, another type of Trichocereus. But it's not that easy to graft onto these because look at the crazy spines. So it's a little more difficult to graft onto those, and opposed to these, which are really easy to graft onto. And I'll be doing a grafting video soon. In the near future, I will do a grafting video. Let me put these down right here, and I'll show you something I've done. So when I graft, I chop off around that much, maybe a little higher on this one. But on bigger pieces, I would chop off around that much and then graft onto there. And those tips, I would throw them away before. But what I've been doing, I started doing last year too, is I would just leave them upside down. Once they healed, I put them in a container like this. with it's cocoa core and some perlite in here, or actually it's pumice. And a year later, or not a year, but a few months later, look at this. Oh wow, it's crazy. Wow. Look at these roots. Crazy. And I will graft onto this maybe after another month or two. I'm going to put this in its own pot like I've been doing with these. I'll put this in its own pot. Let it grow another inch or two, maybe, or 4. I'm in no rush because I have plenty of rootstock. And here too, look at this. Look at these big pieces of oh my god, it's crazy the amount of roots that these got. Look at these roots. It's freaking insane. So I'm going to put all of these in their own pots. I got these free pots from a friend. It's probably too small. I'm going to have some gallon pots too. Yeah, it's crazy. These are really small. And some people will say, "Oh, that's too small to graft onto." Yes. This is a little, I wouldn't graft onto something this small. But something like this one, yeah, they all have roots. Look, see that? Look. But this one, if I was desperate, I would, but it's too small. I'm going to put this in its own pot. In a 1-gallon pot. And then once it gets bigger, I'll graft onto this. But like I told you, look at these roots. They're absolutely crazy. I just threw this one in there just because it was I cut the tip off one of them twice. And I decided to root this anyways. And look, it has a pup. So I'll wait for this pup to get bigger and then I'll graft onto that pup. Once this pup is like maybe 4 or 5 inches. So you see, look at these wonderful roots. And some people would just, when they graft onto, they'll throw away the tips. But I like to keep them. And what I'm going to start doing this time on the bigger pieces that have roots is I'm going to try to go a little lower so that these pieces are big to begin with, and I could root them and they're already a good size. So that's one of the ways that I root those. But these are pieces that I broke off something that's already rooted, and it has something grafted onto, and this is a pup. I let them get big instead of taking them off when they're small, just so I could have a big beefy piece like this. Now plant this and then graft onto it whenever it roots, and it'll look like this. But I have plenty of rootstock right now. I have a lot of failed grafts. This was a failed graft. You see it pupped. This was a failed graft. It gives 2 pups. This one too has 2 pups. I have all of these are PC that I'm going to use to graft. That one too. I'm going to graft on the pup on top. It's a failed graft. Grafting is not 100%. So I grafted a bunch of stuff and I traded a lot of my grafts. And I kept some, but I mean, a lot of the stuff that I graft, I've traded some stuff. So I don't have everything that I have had, but I'm pretty successful, at least 50%, at least. Here's wait, does this have one? Look at these little pieces I threw in here. Let me try to get in here. I think this has roots already. So like I said, I just put things down. Oh wow, barely. It has one little root right there. But I'll put this in its own tiny pot so that it roots. And there's a few others. There's like 3 other ones here. I'll come back and collect those. But see, I I cut them and I leave them. Sometimes I forget, I'll leave them. And like this one right here. See, I have this cactus grafted here, and you go to the bottom. Oh, and this is rooted. This was a pup I pulled out. But see how tiny? I pulled out a tiny pup. So one thing I'm going to start doing is pulling out the pups when they're a little bigger. That way I could use them to for more rootstock. Let's see. I have a few other pups in here, but they're baby. It has roots. Look at this, another pup. It's too small, but maybe I could graft a tiny seedling onto that. Oh, this one too. This one has nice roots, but you see how tiny they are. So what I'm going to start doing, and I started last year like this. Instead of cutting the pups when they're small, I'm going to let them grow this size or bigger, and then I'll twist them off. And that way when I root these, they're already beefy instead of them being small and struggling to try to grow. Anyways, guys, is that it? I think maybe. Let me just show you guys one more thing over here. Do I have any more pieces? No, I'm always on the lookout because I tend to cut these pups from PC, and I'll put them anywhere and everywhere. Like here, I put these in these little pots, and they're rooted. They're rooted, you know. But I'm not gonna graft onto these till they grow another at least another 2-3 inches. Yeah, I was thinking I might have more PC out here, but I don't see any. Well, I have these big pieces of PC here that I rooted. See this giant guy? Look how fat this is. So if I was to graft onto these tips, oh man, because this will absorb more sun because it's so big and it has a big, nice root system, this will make whatever you graft onto this grow super fat and fast. Even more if I use this, this is not PC. This is not a Trichocereus Pachanoi. This is a, I believe it is a Macrogonus. And look how fat it is. Or even this, but you don't want to graft onto these. This is such a beautiful plant. The more common PC, yeah, I'll graft onto those. These are all PC in this container. That's a variegated PC, so I will not graft onto that. As a matter of fact, I want to cut a piece from that and graft it onto one of these so it grows faster. But look at all these PC. I put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pieces of PC in here. Big arms. And they're all growing. And after they rooted, they're getting really fat. Yeah, they're looking really, really good. But I have PC all over the house. I have one over here too. The cat's in my way. Excuse me, kitty. Look at this big PC over here. It started out as a nice size cut. I got it when it was up to here. And it grew all this. And I got 4 pups. Yeah, really nice. Huge, thick pups. So, I'm going to be doing a lot more grafting this year. I have some PC. I kind of put these in a container. And they totally rooted. So, I need to separate these and put them in their own pot. So I could graft onto them. And it's funny, PC here, you get a lot of free ones. Can you see back there? Let me put these down somewhere. Let me try to zoom in back here. So, I was given this for free. Can you see? And it had no tips. It was just those 2 arms. Let's see. This arm and this arm. And now it has so many tips. And look at how fat They are much fatter than these two little smaller pieces. And it has so many pups at the bottom. It's crazy. And I threw this in the backyard. Just let it go wild. I have so many pieces that are rooted or rooting to graft onto. I'm just gonna let that one grow crazy. I'm not gonna be cutting pieces off to graft unless I'm really desperate, but I'm not going to do that. I have a few PC stands. That's probably my favorite one. I have two more in the front, and I have this little one here. I had gotten a this too. It had no tips, and actually it did have these two tips, and it grew really big and it got much fatter, and it grew over here too. And yeah, guys. But for you guys who didn't know what PC was, now you know. Another nickname for PC that a lot of people use is San Pedro cactus. So now if anyone tells you, you know what PC is, you absolutely do. You could tell them you know exactly what it is, and what it's good for. Not really the mescaline in it for those who would like to eat Trichocereus from mescaline or lophophorus. It doesn't really have much mescaline. Some of these other ones will have more mescaline than the PC, but PC has traces amounts. But anyways, guys, that's it for now. Kind of long video, but thanks for sticking around if you were here throughout the whole video. Cheers, guys.